Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Claudia, and I'm with the Communications Division at the City of London. Welcome to this webinar for the East London Link Phase 4 Rapid Transit Project. Before we begin, I would like to know a few things about this webinar. It's being set up as a Zoom webinar, meaning that you can see us and hear us, but we are not able to see you or hear you. We're inviting you to submit any questions that you may have during the presentation using the Q&A section at the bottom of your screen, and then we'll be responding to questions following the presentation. This meeting will be recorded, so if you wish to revisit the information that is being provided today or share it with others, it will be available on the project's webpage, which is Get Involved at london.ca/East London Link. Before we begin, we'd like to acknowledge that we are gathered today on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, Lenape, and Arawandaron peoples. We honor and respect the history, languages, and culture of the diverse Indigenous people who call this territory home. We acknowledge all the treaties that are specific to this area: the Two-Row Wampum Belt Treaty of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, Silver Covenant Chain, the beaver hunting grounds of the Haudenosaunee Nafin Treaty of 1701, the Meek Treaty of 1790, the London Township Treaty of 1796, the Huron Tract Treaty of 1827, with the Anishinaabe and the Dish with One Spoon Covenant Wampum of the Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee. The three Indigenous nations that are neighbors to London are the Chippewa Thames First Nation, Oneida Nations of the Thames, and the Munsee Delaware Nation, who all continue to live as sovereign nations with individual and unique languages, cultures, and customs. The purpose of today's webinar is to share information with you regarding the designs for the East London Link Phase 4 project, which is planned for construction in 2025. We also are going to explain some of the key elements and streetscape concepts and share early information about the plans for construction, how we're mitigating construction, and how you can stay informed about the project. Following the presentation, we'll host a Q&A session where you can submit your questions, again, using the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. So I'm joined today with several team members managing this project. From the city, we have Arden Spayu. He's one of the engineers with the major projects team here at the City of London. We also have Andrea Hamilton. She's one of the engineers running the program for the East London Link project. And both Andrea and Arden will be sharing information with you today. We also have John Paul Sousa. John Paul will be supporting businesses during construction, and Jenny Dan, who is the Director for Construction and Infrastructure Services for the City of London. We also have Katie Burns from LTC, and JP, Jenny, and Katie will be helping with the Q&A as needed. From the consultant team, we have Jeff Kelso, who is the project manager from ACAM, and Rick Bogert, who is the landscape architect with ACAM as well. Both Jeff and Kelso will be sharing information with you today. And we also have Peter Mikkelser, who will be participating in the Q&A portion of this meeting. With introductions and housekeeping items out of the way, I will hand things over to our first presenter, Arden Spayu from the City of London. Arden, over to you.
Yep, thank you, Claudia. Hi, everyone. I'm Arden Spayu, one of the transportation design engineers with the City of London with major projects here. Thanks for joining us to learn more about Phase 4 of the East London Link project, which is planned for construction in 2025. Just go to the next slide, please. Perfect, thanks, Claudia. The City of London completed a large environmental assessment process that reviewed option for a citywide rapid transit network. The environmental assessment was completed for the whole system, and then an overall network was broken down into 5 component pieces, and Council has prioritized implementing 3 of them to connect downtown with east and south ends of the city. Rapid transit will add new transit-only lanes to improve transit capacity, frequency, and reliability. Above ground, it will add new street surfacing and streetscape, as well as other urban design improvements. Underground, the project will replace aging infrastructure, and the project will also add intelligent traffic signal systems to improve overall traffic flow. Just go to the next slide. The three rapid transit projects that Council has prioritized implementing are the Downtown Loop, the Eastern Corridor, which is called the East London Link, and to the south, the Wellington Gateway. These 3 projects also represent approximately $454 million worth of work, which includes both federal and provincial funding. Engineering design work began in 2020 and construction kicked off in 2021 with the first phase of the downtown loop. The approximate timelines for construction are 2021 to 2023 for the downtown loop. We're completing some finishing work for phase 3 of the Wellington Street between Queens Ave and York Street, which is phase 3 of the downtown loop. Otherwise, downtown loop should be completed shortly. For the East London Link, it's 2022 to 2026. We're currently constructing 2 sections of phase 3 of Dundas Street and Highbury Avenue. And for Wellington Gateway project, it is planned between 2023 and 2027. Phase 1 is nearly complete with some finishing touches that are planned later this year. And phase 3 and 4 are currently underway on Wellington Road, as well as Clark's Bridge widening project. Once built, the new rapid transit service will be operated by London Transit as part of the existing public transit system with the same fare. Ultimately, the spine of frequent, reliable rapid transit corridors will create the opportunity to redirect more local service to neighborhoods, improving transit across the full system. Go to the next slide, please. The downtown loop. The downtown loop was the first of London rapid transit projects to get started. The downtown loop project aims to improve traffic capacity and revitalize 2 kilometers of streets surrounding Dundas Place, add new rapid transit stops, add boulevard enhancement, new streetlights, and upgraded traffic signals, move buses into curbside lanes, their own curbside lanes, and give them left turn priority signals, improving safety and capacity for all road users in the core. The project addresses necessary underground work, including replacing aging sewers and water mains to accommodate future growth. The downtown loop will run buses in transit-only lanes along Wellington Street, Queens Ave, Rideout Street, and King Street to connect passengers with local buses and nearby downtown destinations. The 5 stops along downtown loop, which are located on King Street at Talbot, Wellington, King and Wellington, Wellington at King Street, Queens at Clarence, and near Queens and Rideout. These stops will be used by both rapid transit and local buses. Next slide, please. This slide provides an overview of the full length of the Wellington Gateway project, extending from downtown, connecting to the downtown loop at King Street, and extending southerly along Wellington Road, passing by Victoria Hospital through commercial areas to White Oaks Mall. Bus-only lanes will terminate just south of White Oaks Mall stop at White Oaks Mall, Wellington and White Oaks Mall entrance, with buses continuing in mixed traffic to a potential park and ride facility near Exeter Road. This map shows the anticipated timeline for construction starting in 2023 until approximately 2027. And like the other 2 projects, the Wellington Gateway is being built in stages to minimize impacts and due to the size and complexity of these projects. So phase 1 on the map, you can see there is between King Street to just north of the Thames River, which is currently just wrapping up, as I noted earlier, with some finishing works to be completed later this year, and just north of the Thames River. Works on Clark's Bridge, which is also part of phase 1, is underway and will be going through 2025. Phase 2, Watson Street to Wilkins Street, is planned for 2026 to 2027. We're currently working through the detailed design for this phase. Phase 3, which is Wilkins to Montgomery, that is currently under construction and is planned for 2024 and through 2025. Phase 4, which is from Montgomery Gate to just north of Exeter at the Commons entrance, is planned for 2024 and is currently underway and is planned to continue through 2025. We can go to the next slide, please. The final project we're presenting in detail today is the East London Link Phase 4. But before I dive into the details, I'd like to provide an overview of the East London Link corridor for those of you who may not be familiar with the project. The East London Link will revitalize more than 6 kilometers from the downtown to Fanshawe College, adding rapid transit and transportation improvements, included transit links to the city's eastern industrial employment areas, while also replacing and repairing aging sewers and water mains. This slide provides an overview of the full length of the East London Link project, continuing to the downtown loop at Wellington Street. The project will extend easterly along King Street to Ontario, and then follow further east along Dundas to Highbury Ave, north to Oxford Street, and then finally further east, terminating at the Fanshawe College property. The first phase of construction for this project started in the spring of 2022 on King Street from Wellington Street to Lyle. In 2023, phase 2 along King Street from Lyle to Ontario, up Ontario to Dundas, and from Dundas Street, Dundas from Ontario to Dundas and Egerton was phase 2 in 2023. And this year we're building sections of phase 3 along Dundas Street and Highbury Avenue. Subsequent phases of East London Link will take phases between 2025 and 2026, including phase 4, which is a focus of today's webinar. If you haven't been in Old East Village recently, the photo to the left, this features the new curbside bus lanes on King Street in Ontario by the Western Fair Market. I'll now hand things over to Andrea Hamilton, who will share more information about the East London Link project.
Thanks, Ardian. Hi, everyone. I'm Andrea Hamilton, the Program Manager for the East London Link Corridor. And I want to thank you for joining us today to learn more about East Phase 4, which is planned for construction in 2025. Phase 4 is the next phase of the construction as part of the East London Link project, and it will extend from Oxford between Highbury and a few meters east of 2nd Street. The work on Oxford Street will result in widening and reconstructing the road to accommodate center-running bus-only lanes. It'll add a few new rapid transit stops and upgrade the local transit terminal at Fanshawe College, make repairs and upgrades to underground water and sewers, replace and implement a concrete median in the center of the road. We'll upgrade and add new signalized intersections on Oxford Street at John Paul to Catholic Secondary School entrance and Oxford Street at London Lane. And we'll add a new intersection pedestrian signal just east of Jim Ashton. We'll also be installing new upgraded active transportation facilities for cyclists and pedestrians on both sides of Oxford Street, and we'll install new trees, other landscaping, and urban design elements as well. As previously mentioned, the construction is planned for 2025, and we will start in the spring, and it will go until approximately fall of 2026. But I'll share more about construction later on. This slide represents the conceptual rendering of what East London Link Phase 4 will look like. So one thing you'll notice is the new road construction will have a configuration with center running transit lanes, as shown in red here. And you'll also see new landscaping features and enhanced active transportation facilities on both sides of Oxford Street for people walking or biking. I'll now pass it on to our consultant team, who will provide an overview of the design.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Jeff Kelsel. I'm a civil engineer and project manager at AECOM's London office. Over the course of the following slides, I'll provide an overview of the design features associated with the project for the remaining work on Oxford Street between Highbury Avenue to the east limits of the job east of 2nd Street. Next slide, please. The limits of phase 4 of the East Link project includes the area along Oxford Street from the east side of Highbury Avenue to approximately 200 meters east of Fanshawe College Boulevard and 2nd Street. The East Link Phase 4 project also involves improvements and reconstruction along London Lane that is located parallel to Oxford Street along the southerly limits of the Fanshawe College campus. Due to the scale of this project, it's tough to see all on one plan. This slide here shows the limits of the East Link Phase 4 project along Oxford Street from Highbury to Fanshawe College Boulevard and 2nd Street. And now we'll take a look at the corridor in a bit more detail on the following few slides. Next slide, please. This slide illustrates a future aerial view of Oxford Street from Highbury Avenue intersection to the entrance and access to the John Paul high school. The work to occur in the Highbury Avenue intersection is not part of this phase and is being completed as part of the phase 3 portion of the rapid transit program, which is currently under construction. The scope of work planned for this portion of the phase 4 includes replacing aging storm sewer and water main, along with the relocation of existing overhead hydro poles and other utilities. The road will then be widened to accommodate the new transit lanes as well as to dedicated left turn lanes at the school entrance. The intersection will also be fully signalized, along with providing bike lane crossings. Sidewalks and bike lanes will also be constructed on both sides of the street. And both of these will be located, these active transit elements will be located in the boulevards. Next slide, please. This slide illustrates a future aerial view of phase 4 from the entrance from the John Paul II Secondary High School to the First Street intersection. The section of the project also includes the replacement of the storm sewer and water main, as well as replacement and relocation of sanitary sewers from just west of Ayerswood Avenue that will convey wastewater to the existing sewer at 2nd Street. Similar to the area to the west on the previous slide, the existing hydro poles and the overhead hydro and other utilities will be relocated to facilitate the road widening work. Concrete sidewalks, asphalt bike paths, and dedicated bike lane crossings. As part of the work being completed on Fanshawe College campus, for those familiar with the existing London Lane, you can see that there will be a new intersection created at the west limit of the college frontage, west of Ayerswood Avenue, along with some adjustments to the intersection at the Oxford Street and First Street intersection. The London Lane connection west of Ayerswood Avenue will be open to all modes of traffic, while the connections at the Oxford Street and First Street intersection has been designed for buses exiting the campus only. There will be pedestrian crossing and cycling lane enhancements at the Oxford Street and First Street intersection to accommodate the students accessing the campus, Fanshawe College campus. Next slide, please. This slide shows the view from Oxford Street and the First Street intersection easterly to the Oxford Street and Fanshawe College Boulevard 2nd Street intersection. This is going to be a very busy section of the corridor to be constructed. The figure illustrates work to occur along Oxford Street and also illustrates the work to be completed within the Fanshawe College campus on London Lane. The scope of work along Oxford Street will include the replacement of storm sewers, sanitary sewers, and water main. Similar to the areas to the west, overhead hydro and other utilities will continue to be relocated to accommodate the road widening. A new signalized intersection, a new signalized dedicated pedestrian crossing and designated bike lanes will also be constructed and developed east of Jim Ashton Street to provide an access that aligns with the current entrance to the buildings on Fanshawe College campus. There will be a dedicated bus lane on Oxford Street that will allow buses to enter Fanshawe College at the east limit of the campus and provide access to the designated bus lanes on London Lane. The works along London Lane will include creating the dedicated bus lane running east to west, entering the east limit of the frontage and exiting at First Street. A bus rapid transit station terminus stop will be located on the east end of the platform. This is the area shown as the orange shaded rectangular box at the west limit of the campus, west limit of Campus Drive. LTC local stops will also be located at the west end of the bus platform area, west of the pedestrian crossing, under the words Fanshawe College in the figure above. Buses will exit from Fanshawe College campus using the dedicated exit at First Street. Work to be completed on London Lane will include localized water main and water servicing replacement, localized storm sewer and sanitary sewer improvements, utility relocations and improvements, landscaping improvements, irrigation relocation and improvements, and street lighting improvements. Next slide, please. This final slide of the corridor illustrates the view from the east limit of Fanshawe College campus frontage and along Oxford Street to the easterly limit of the project. The scope of the work along Oxford Street will include the replacement of storm sewer, sanitary sewers, water main, and the road reconstruction and widening traffic signal improvement replacements and landscaping improvements. Similar to the areas west, the existing hydro poles will be relocated to facilitate the road widening in this area of the project. I will now hand things over to Rick Bogart to provide you with an overview of the landscaping and streetscaping elements in phase 4.
Thanks, Jeff. Hi, everybody. I'm Rick Bogart, landscape architect for this project from AECOM. Next slide, please. I'm going to walk you through, as Jeff said, landscape and urban design components for this project. So the foundation of the proposed design for the rapid transit streetscape is based on 4 guiding principles, design principles. So firstly, the balanced multimodal transportation, which includes the enhanced and balanced approach to integrating that mobility for transit users, pedestrians, and automobiles, and widening pedestrian corridors through the expanded sidewalks where space allows. Secondly, being environmentally resilient while incorporating new trees, retaining existing trees where we can use sustainable materials, sourcing local material where possible, and updating the lighting to use luminaires that reduce light pollution and provide new recycling and trash receptacles. Thirdly, is developing a living, a lively sense of place, using a contemporary and unified design style that will not only meet the city's new design standard, but will also blend the distinct design language of other downtown streetscapes, updating the existing street furniture and wayfinding features so that they are consistent with other streetscape and provide that throughout the project. Enhancing the pedestrian crossings as well at station stops and clustering the site furnishings at intersections or at landmark locations along the corridor. And then lastly, is to be safe for all users by providing a barrier-free streetscape design, allowing the pedestrians to have a clear path of travel, free from obstructions. This will be achieved by integrating accessibility design elements such as detectable warning plates that meet the current accessibility standards at all pedestrian crossings, and providing solid boulevard or textural and tonal differences of paving material between the road curb and the main path of travel. The last safety consideration is to follow the principles of crime prevention through environmental design. Some examples of this are visible stops and improving lighting. Next slide, please. So some of the examples that you see on the slide here, streetscape elements. The top one is the typical road section, showing obviously the travel lanes for vehicles and buses, but you also see deciduous trees planting on the far left side. The cross section below is a road section with a median icon in the middle of the median, and on the far right you can see integrated pedestrian crossing. So these are just some of the examples. What we did mention was implementing new native deciduous trees in solid boulevards, and then the median, as we mentioned, with plantings along Fanshawe College frontage. So we want to tie that into and replicating the existing theme on the campus itself. Next slide, please. So this will include street lighting. The new street lighting, again, to be consistent with other streetscapes, detectable warning plates in crosswalks, enhanced pedestrian crossings at station stop locations and at intersections. And we want to use a stamped asphalt treatment that has a decorative pattern and color, which is consistent with the entire BRT. And then lastly, the new bike racks, benches, new trash and recycling receptacles that also will be consistent with the City of London streetscapes. Next slide, please. So I think back to you, Andrea.
Thanks, Rick. Okay, so let's talk about what's ahead for construction. So as I previously mentioned, phase 4 of the East London Link is currently planned for construction in spring of 2025 until approximately fall of 2026. During construction, work hours will typically be between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., but there will be some overnight or weekend work potentially that will happen, and this will be required to help minimize traffic impacts, disruption to businesses. For example, we typically see this when accommodating water service connections. We know construction can be disruptive, and the city aims to provide enough advance notice about any detours or impacts that you might see so you can plan ahead. The contractor will be required to provide proper advance notice, and our teams will amplify this information through different channels. The project team will help host a pre-construction meeting in the spring before work begins. At this meeting, we will help be able to share more information about construction staging and timelines once the contractor is awarded the project and a more defined schedule and staging plan is known. In the meantime, though, if you have any questions or concerns about access, or if you have any special access needs, please reach out and our design team will be happy to help coordinate with you and provide any additional information or make adjustments as needed. For this phase, we anticipate lane restrictions during construction, but we will be maintaining traffic on Oxford Street. Construction will be broken up into stages to help minimize impacts, and we're aiming to maintain at least a minimum of one lane in each direction for traffic. However, there may be some left turn restrictions just due to safety concerns during construction. There will be traffic calming measures such as bollards or speed bumps, and they will be applied in neighboring streets as mitigation where cut-through traffic is anticipated, and we'll share more details on that during our pre-construction meeting that we'll host in the spring. Over the past few years of construction in the core area, we've learned from businesses and residents about their priorities, and we've heard from some of the highest value items are sidewalk and pedestrian access and vehicle and road access. We heard the best ways to keep you informed are through a combination of email notification, signage around the site, notices delivered to your door, and in-person conversations with project representatives. We also heard some great ideas for how we could improve the way that we do things and put many of those in place. We'll be keeping this feedback top of mind as we work to mitigate the construction impacts. The city will continue to work towards a high level of communication and coordination for the East London Link project to minimize and mitigate potential impacts to residences and businesses during construction. Some tools that we use to help support local businesses through construction include a dedicated business relations resource to the project. So that's JP, who you can see here on the left, to act as a liaison between the city and individual businesses. We also provide various tools and resources to help businesses navigate construction and keep the community informed. There are some examples of tactics you will see implemented: wayfinding signage and with construction plans and timelines, public service announcements to the media, social media notifications, direct outreach to impacted properties, businesses, and residences, and email communication to businesses and residences to ensure that we have the most up-to-date information about the project. You can expect to hear more about the plans for construction in early spring. So if you haven't registered yet to receive project updates, please sign up at getinvolved.london.ca/East London Link so we can add you to the email list. Over the next month, we'll be finalizing our detailed design. So if you have any special access needs to your business or property that we should be factoring in, please reach out to the project team no later than Friday, November 15th. So that's next Friday at East London Link, at eastlondonlink@london.ca, or you can give us a call at 519-930-3518. This project is being tendered in November, and again, construction is anticipated to begin in spring 2025 until approximately fall of 2026. Some advanced work is planned for winter of 2025, including tree removals and utility relocation. A notice will be sent to nearby residences, businesses, and property owners ahead of this pre-construction work. I'll pass it over to Claudia, who will share more information about how you can stay informed during the project.
Thanks, Andrea. So there are different ways that you can stay informed about construction. Andrea just mentioned some of them, like signing up for email notifications. You can do that on our website, which is on the screen. Get involved at london.ca/East London Link. We also use different tools about the project, like Andrea mentioned, notices, social media, and public service announcements. So if you don't follow the City of London on social media, that's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, please do that so you can stay up to date on any information about the project or construction. But some dates that I want to highlight for you here. We are starting today an engagement period for this project. So if you have additional questions, you can send it to us using either the Get Involved site or through any of the contact information that's on the screen, the phone number, which is 519-930-3518, or directly to the project team at East London Link at london.ca. You can also see us in person. We're going to be hosting a drop-in session at the City of London Major Projects Office. That's on Tuesday, so next week on Tuesday, November 12th, between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. You can drop by at any of this, like within that time. We are located at the City Plaza downtown on the second floor, right above the Central Library. You don't need an appointment. You don't need to call us to let us know that you are coming. You are just welcome to just stop by at any time between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. You can submit your feedback to us, ideally by Friday, November 15th, or throughout the project. If you have additional questions or if you have any special access need, you can use any of the contact information here. This information is also posted on the project's webpage, so you can access that information to let us know about any specific needs that you have for the project or any questions that you may have. So with that, we have completed the presentation portion of this webinar. We are now opening a Q&A session. To submit your questions, please use the Q&A button on the bottom of your screen. We're going to be here answering any questions you may have. But again, if you have no questions right now, but have questions at a later time, you can reach out to us either by email or the Get Involved site, or stopping by on Tuesday, November 15th. I want to thank you all the presenters for sharing all this information with us today. While we allow some time for some questions, I also want to remind everyone that this meeting has been recorded. So we're going to be posting a copy of this webinar on the website. That should be available anytime after this meeting, as well as a PDF version of this presentation. So you can revisit this information or share this with anyone that you would like to. So I see a question here. So how far exactly is a few meters beyond 2nd Street? How far east from 2nd Street are we going?
I'll answer that, Claudia. Yeah, so the limit of the project is, the east limit of the project is, it's approximately 200 meters east of Fanshawe College Boulevard and 2nd Street. That's the limit of the road work. Sewers tied in at 2nd Street.
Thanks, Jeff. And just kind of like in the same topic, what is being done east of 2nd Street on Oxford Street to the road? So what are we doing on that section?
That'll be the transition point, and there will be road reconstruction, full depth road reconstruction, and much like to all of the limit of the road work to the west.
Thank you. I'm just pulling it up here. So it's this area here.
That's correct. Yeah, the area that's shaded darker, and just so if you want to spend a little bit of time on some of these images, they may be the most helpful for people to reflect what they're seeing here. But the limit of the road construction is the darker hatching, like in the middle of the road, to the far right of the figure there. And
like
then you can kind of see the lane, yeah, even further to the right, like on the right side of the figure. You can kind of see there's an aerial imagery superimposed from, I don't know how they did it, but it was Google Maps, basically a rendering where they show what the lanes configurations are going to be, where the landscaping and trees will be planted, how the lanes are configured with, you know, east, west, and center turning, or the red paint represents the designated bus lanes into Fanshawe College. But to answer that first question, the east limit of the roadwork is that darker gray shaded area at the right side of that figure.
Okay, like this area here,
No, way over to the right.
like right here.
Right,
Okay.
even right there. Yep.
Okay,
So you can see the existing driveways and properties and where those exist relative to the limits of the road work.
thanks, Jeff. I see more questions coming. Okay, I see a question here. Are there any plans to go further east? I'm not sure, Andrea, sorry, Jenny or Arden, if you are able to respond to that question. If we have any plans to go farther east?
Yeah. Sorry, I can take it from here, Jenny. We don't have direction to go any further east from this project at this time. There was discussion, deliberation during the environmental assessment through council, but there is no direction for us to do anything further east of the limit of this project here.
Thank you. The next question is someone who wants to know if there will be an islet being put in place, assuming in the middle of the road with the center running lanes. Is it an island being placed, or is that part of the center running lanes?
Yeah, if you want to go to the first figure, Claudia, or whoever's in control here, that one has the whole limit of the job with the rendering. And you can kind of get a feel for where the median will be constructed and how the lanes will be
This is the one you're looking for, Jeff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the one. I skipped over it maybe too quickly, but this is for the whole job. And what you see here is a rendering. So this is like a digital animation of what the design drawings look like, superimposed over some aerial imagery with, you know, probably use Google Maps of some sort to kind of reflect the limits of the existing conditions outside the road allowance. But if you wanted to go maybe to the next one, through these slides, you can see where the medians actually are.
So it's right here.
The other things you see in these images here are like I said, the road work is the darker gray limits of work. The red pavement markings are a thing. The darker gray on either side of the road are the new bike paths, whereas the white limit, that's the new concrete sidewalk, and how that is all kind of parallel to Oxford Street.
Claudia, if I might add, there is a slide maybe that describes this a little bit, and we can go to that. It's related to the center median. It's an important feature for the implementation of rapid transit, or anytime you're widening a road to have this volume of lanes. That speaks to it a little bit better. If you, there's another slide, I think, after this slide.
Let me just find that. Are you looking for this one?
No, it's called center median, and it speaks to the operations. Maybe I can touch on that if maybe helpful to that discussion.
Sorry, I found it.
No worries. Perfect. So maybe I'll just, because I think it aligns with the question. So yes, there is a curb height 6-inch median that is proposed as part of the design. And so for both curbside and center running configuration, rapid transit requires center median to maintain frequent, reliable transit operations, as I mentioned. So in the case of Oxford Street, the center median ensures that the center run and bus lanes are not blocked by drivers attempting to make a mid-block left turn lane. So as a result, the left turning movements will be restricted to signalized intersection, and the driveways or minor streets that are not signalized will change to right in, right on access to ensure safety for all users. And if you look in the image that you see there on the screen, what that really means is, so under note A, that's a signalized intersection, really no impacts, no changes. Under the note B, a non-signalized intersection or a minor street or driveway. So here you will be able to make a right in, right out because there is no signal to safely navigate through there, and because of the median. And then similarly to B, where you have a situation where if you're coming out of that driveway or the minor street that's unsignalized and you're trying to make a left on the screen, what you end up having to do is you make a right, you approach the nearest signalized intersection, and there you'll have a U-turn signal, a protected left turn signal that will enable you to make a U-turn. So I just thought maybe that might be helpful to just expand on the median question.
Thanks, Arden. Yeah, this is super helpful to help visualize how, I know this is new to all of us. So it's like super helpful to see visually how that would work once we get the buses using the center lanes. There's another question, I think similar to this topic. So the person is asking, so it looks like the eastmost median is only about 10 meters past 2nd Street. Is that accurate? Do you know how far east are we going with the most, or the medium, the center medium past 2nd Street? Or is that ending at 2nd Street?
I don't have the exact number if it's 10 or 20 meters. It is very minimal, and that's ultimately to accommodate the traffic signal infrastructure and street light. But that is correct. It's very minimal in terms of how far it's chased. That median east of 2nd Street.
Thank you.
Yeah, Artie, and I'm looking at sorry to interrupt, Claudia. I'm looking at the detailed design drawings on a different screen, and I can confirm it's about 20 meters. It's your standard short kind of middle median, just to account for the traffic signals and to separate the lanes.
Thank you. Sorry, and I think this question, so the person asking, do you know how far this is stopping from 3rd Street? So I think we're only going, did you say 200 meters from 2nd Street? About 200 meters east of 2nd?
Yeah, I can try to determine that right now. I don't know the answer.
Yeah, I guess the person just wants to know how far are we from 3rd Street?
Yeah, I'm just trying to do a quick measurement on Google Maps here.
Yeah, it's plus or minus 100 meters from 3rd. I'm just eyeballing it here, but I don't know if Jeff gets a more accurate number.
Yeah, I'd put it around 180 meters west of 3rd Street, Artie. In that magnitude.
And I think we clarified the reason it's going past 2nd. It's a tie-in sewer. So there's some life cycle replacements that are happening there. So that's driving the works east of here.
Okay, thank you. So while we get any additional questions that people may have today, I just want to remind everyone that if you have additional questions following this meeting, you can submit that to us using the, there's a comments form on our Get Involved site, which is getinvolved.lund.ca/eastlondonlink. Something that I highly encourage people to do when submitting questions is to please add your contact information, whether it is a phone number or email, so we can follow up with our response. Or you can also visit us next Tuesday, November 12th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Majors Projects office, which is located downtown at the City Plaza on the 2nd floor of the library. We're going to be here, again, dropping session. There won't be a presentation that day, but there will be an opportunity for you to connect directly with the project team. Or you can also revisit this information. You can use either our email or phone number, which you see on the screen, to submit any additional questions. Or if you have a specific access need that we should consider during construction, this is a time for you to let us know. And that way we can keep those in mind as we prepare and plan for construction next year. Just stay here for another minute or so if you have any last minute questions. We are recording this meeting and we'll post a copy of this presentation and this webinar later today on the Projects Get Involved site as well. Okay, I see one question coming through. Oh, this is just a comment. Thank you for the presentation. You're very welcome. So I think we'll just wrap it up. Thanks everyone for joining us today, and thanks to all the presenters who share all this information with us. I hope you have a great afternoon. Thanks everyone.
Thanks everyone.
Bye.
Have a good day.
Thank you.